Folks, they say that the Lord doesn't give you more than you can handle, and yet the Lord has given me a bold, color-loving maximalist, sad beige cabinets in my new apartment kitchen. And so today, we are forced to rewrite destiny and give these cabinets a renter-friendly makeover so that I no longer have to live among terrorists. Folks, welcome back to Laugh Cry DIY. I am your host, Katie, and we are continuing the series where I make over my new apartment. Last week, we turned my boring dining room into a maximalist oasis, and this week, we are turning our attention to this sad kitchen. Now look, if you're a minimalist who likes neutral tones, I'm so happy for you and you would love living here. But for me, I need color, I need pizzazz, and I will go to extreme lengths to get it. So this is what my kitchen looks like now. We have this boring floor, we have these two-tone cabinets, they even painted the trim the same kind of taupey, grayish, beige color that is honestly the exact shade that Satan would paint hell to make it as miserable as possible for me to live in. So we're gonna make over this space in a few ways. And to be honest, we've already done a portion of it. Specifically, the floor. In last week's dining room episode, we did a renter-friendly hack where we laid down shower curtain and we put peel and stick tile over that. And I went ahead and extended that all the way into the kitchen floor so that we could have a little cohesion between the spaces. And I chose these specific floor tiles for a few reasons. One, it lightens up the floor because before it was a cool gray and it was kind of like dark and heavy. And number two, I wanted a pop of pattern, and this diamond pattern is very classic. Now, another feature we're changing is the upper trim, which is this like dental trim. Now, normally you totally want to enhance architectural features like that trim, but to be honest, the trim's just a little funky for me. So to keep it simple, I'm just gonna paint it back to white. So we have already handled the floor, and now we have to deal with my enemies. So basically, I'm just gonna do a hack to change the color of the cabinets. I'm not gonna paint for a few reasons. One, it's super inconvenient to paint cabinets. Two, I do not want to have to paint them back when I move out. And three, these cabinets are old and they are so landlord specialed in that if I try to take off these hinges, I think it's gonna peel a lot of paint up with it. Sometimes you're living in a place with weird quirks or whatever, so you just have to deal with things as they are. All around, we have 15 cabinets. We've got big guys, we've got bigger guys, we got doors, we got drawers, and more guys up here. On this channel, we have done a few renter-friendly hacks to change cabinet colors. We have taken wood cabinets and we have contact papered them an entirely different color. I've taken painted cabinets like this and covered them in a peel and stick wallpaper, because essentially you can't contact paper over painted cabinets because the adhesive is too strong and it's gonna peel it off. If you have painted cabinets, it's safer to do a removable peel and stick wallpaper to preserve the paint. And although those are both budget-friendly hacks, I'm not gonna do either of those today. Instead, we're gonna do something really crazy and edgy, and that is cover them in fabric. I spent, I think, $70 or $80 in pink cotton fabric. And you can turn any fabric into wallpaper with the use of liquid starch. This is also another way we've put up renter-friendly wallpaper on the channel in the past. And this is an old military wife trick they used to use because those wives were moving a lot, so they would put up and take down wallpaper with fabric to make their lives easier. So I have measured and created templates for every damn drawer, and we have cut them out. ASMR. Also, if you want to see how much it took me to figure out how many pieces I need and the yardage, I calculated it and drew it out twice, and I still think I overbought. But that's okay. Always better to overbuy than underbuy. Also, I pre-washed the fabric so that it would shrink a little bit and we would have an accurate size. So I'm doing this for a few reasons. One, it's cheap. Two, I'm lazy. It feels pretty low risk. And I think the big concern here is that this is gonna get really dirty, right? From like splashes of food or whatever. Number one, there are handles, so I'm not worried about touching the fabric a lot. Number two, it is a simple, just easy like denim cotton or whatever, so that can be washed with soap and water. So I think I could spot clean it and give it a quick spray of liquid starch to smooth it back out. Or honestly, I could peel it off, wash it, and throw it back up. Actually, I decided to coat the fabric with a stain protector after I did this whole video. And now we're gonna use liquid starch in a spray bottle, maybe some other tools to apply this fabric to the cabinets without unscrewing them. So I've cut up all of the templates, I have all of the different sizes, and I'm gonna start on the bottom row. Fun tip, if you're doing DIY anything, start with the smallest, easiest thing that feels like a quick win so that you don't automatically give up. So first things first, we're just gonna take off the hardware. Pro tip, guys, this drill will not fit in here because there's some built-in dividers. So I have these little screwdrivers that are kind of this S shape. These are meant to get into really tiny places where maybe you only have like that much clearance. They're super handy, super cheap, really convenient to have in your toolbox. Boom. All right, all hardware is off, and I'm gonna start with this bottom row. Oh, one note, when kitchen cabinets are painted, they're usually gonna be painted in like a semi-gloss or a high gloss because those are very wipeable surfaces. That's also why I'm using this liquid starch fabric hack, because even if there's any residue afterwards, it should be pretty easy to wipe off because it's kind of the point of high gloss painted cabinets. So we're gonna start. As I mentioned, I did pre-wash this fabric so that I knew it was accurate size and so that if I put it on and had to take it off and rewash it, it wouldn't like shrink as it went on. I also had gotten a thicker cotton denim as opposed to much thinner. Because the base color is under there, it's not gonna be a true color match because it will affect it a little bit with that undertone. But I did wanna get as thick a material as possible so that we could be a little bit more opaque and true to color. You can't get everything in life, but you can try. This is what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna soak the fabric a little bit. Then I'm gonna spray all over there. She's dripping nice. And we're gonna put her right on. So we just wanna keep spraying her down to make sure she's totally soaked through. And what's cool is that when this dries, it dries kind of so stiff that you can just razor blade around the edges as needed. So I will be trimming this excess off, but I just wanna make sure that it's nice and lined up. And I am gonna trim some portions even as we go just to make it easier to wrap around. But the nice thing is that you can just reposition, re-wet it. It's very easy to manipulate. You just wanna keep smoothing down to make sure it's looking good. All right, now this might be a little bit tricky to see, but I wanna show you how we're gonna do these edges. So you're gonna do the tops and the bottoms, right? You're gonna fold them out totally to the side. And then similar to how you do in upholstery, it's all flat all the way over, and then you can just simply fold it right over. Do you see that? And we might even put little like clips in or something to hold it in place while it dries. Honestly, it's wet enough, it's even self-sticking, so I think we're pretty cool. And in my experience, these take like a day to dry. You could probably blow dry it and make it dry even quicker. But honestly, if you soak and press these in, especially on these little like tab corners, they really do kind of just stick to themselves. Pretty awesome. One drawer done. All right, next one. Let me try a different trick. Other bottle, bowl. Now FYI, I'm using Stay Flow liquid starch. I had this in my stash. Unfortunately, it has since been discontinued, but there are spray starches. I will try to find links to any other liquid starch, or you can make your own DIY home starch with cornstarch. And I will link one of those recipes below too. We're gonna do this next one, and I'm gonna just soak the whole thing in there. ASMR. Splat. I left quite a seam allowance on these that we don't need, so I will definitely be trimming up as we go, but you can see, I mean, truly guys, it like instantly sticks. I had also originally thought I might do this fabric trick to the trim instead of just to the drawers, and I did experiment with that, and it did totally work. So if you guys have trim in your house, even if it's crown molding that is kind of textured and wavy, you can still totally do this and it'll dry in a day and it looks great. And again, you do wanna just keep an eye out for air bubbles, but pretty easy. And you definitely wanna make sure the whole thing truly is soaked. And we're trimming. You can also do this trick on cabinet doors or like wood or plastic chairs. The cool thing is that the liquid starch sticks to a lot of materials that you would think it doesn't. And also because it kind of functions like a glue, I'm not worried about these raw edges like unraveling because it kind of self-seals them. Ugh. Next one. Soak. Oh, also new hack to make sure all of these corners stay tight. I'm just using little paper clips and bending them out of shape like crazy and just popping those on the edges. Maybe they don't all want to stay, but I'm trying to make them go. Now it is time to do the doors, and these are gonna be trickier because they're larger and because I'm not taking the hinges off. It's so landlord specialed on the inside that I can barely even access the screws. So I think what I might have to do is put it on, let portions dry, trim around the hinges really precisely and then re-stick and seal so that they can kind of cover them as much as possible. So let's see what happens door by door. All right, this might be a little bit tricky to see, but we have our fabric, right? Like tucking through on this side. And I'm using this little piece of cardboard to like shove it through onto the other side. Do you see? That way I can make sure it's coming through tight. And again, I'll adjust around the hinges once it's dried, but we just wanna make sure that that part is like coming through all right. And we're still dunking, but I will say that I have also found it helpful to spray down the front just so that when you first stick it on, it kind of naturally sticks. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. You guys see the spotting where it's not totally soaked through? Keep an eye out, folks. Also, let me show you how I've been dealing with the hinges in a more efficient way. If you stick it on straight, then you can see where the hinges are, okay? They're like right up here at the top. You can actually just cut straight in. And then you can like cut out the little cubby. Do you see that? I hope that's showing up. Then you can shove that all through, you see? Coming in and out the other side, and then it makes it easier to put it in on the inside. Okay, so I was really fighting for my life with air bubbles in this, hoping I could like get them out, but they just kept collecting in the corner, coming through again and again. So what I did is I just cut a little slit here so that this part could lie totally flat, and then we can bring up the part over it to better seal it up. And I might even lay an additional panel over it. I don't know, guys, I might have lost the plot on this part, but we do what we can, okay? And we're back. Next morning, folks. How are we doing? They are dried and they are crispy as hell, to be honest. It feels like, I don't know, like a heavy sail on a ship or something. So it's definitely on there, definitely tight. And I would say 90% of the cabinets look great, no bubbles, no anything, but we do have a few issues in some spots. We got a little air bubble right here. We got a little bit right here. So to tackle these, we're just gonna re-soak them and lay them down flat. They just smooth right out. Okay, although we are getting bubbles out, we do have a problem, and that is that many of the cabinets do not close. And that is because of corners and kind of bulkiness and stuff like that. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna hand trim up corners or funky thick spots that need to be fixed. So I have a very sharp razor blade and I have scissors, and I'm just gonna go freestyle in. Now that we know where it is and where it's gonna dry, you can kind of lift up and trim little parts, and you can just quickly reseal it. I also wanna prove how thick and solid this is when it dries, because I can literally just and pull that off too. Okay, they don't all have such a clean lip like this one did to trim around. So when you open it up, you do see the sides. So what I am doing is I'm going, and all the ones that are like really raggedy, I'm just peeling them off a little bit and I'm re-trimming them to give it a cleaner line. Ooh, we're just sealing them back up. Also, pro tip, I would put something down on the floor because you're gonna have a lot of liquid starch dripping down onto the floor and it gets really sticky. Okay, now this might kind of be hard to show you, but I'm trying to show you how I'm simplifying the corners. And basically, we had them kind of folded over and stuff, but what I'm doing is I'm cutting out a little L shape. That way that can go there and that can go over. Hope that makes sense. Oh, so good. Okay, so we have gone and trimmed and cleaned and resealed, and a bunch of stuff is still drying, but I do think it is time to add back our hardware. And we are not going to use the original hardware because I'm a fun, glam, maximalist, dramatic girl. We are going to add different hardware, and we're gonna do something even more scandalous and use 2 types of hardware. So what we're gonna do is on the top cabinets, we're gonna do these beautiful little fan pulls. And on the bottom, we're gonna do a more simple cabinet pull. And I chose these 2 to complement each other a little bit because you you can see we have like the fluting from the fan there. And this handle also has a little bit of like a ridge fluting thing. So I just wanted them to speak to each other a little bit. So obviously these are two different pulls from two different companies. The gold was not gonna match. And the gold that it did come in, this one was a little bit too champagne gold. And this one was like a really brilliant bright gold. So I wanted to kind of make them match a little bit more and make them look a little bit more aged. So I did something crazy. I grabbed my little luster wax, gilding wax, and I coated both. And I hope you can see that it's on there. Now, wax is gonna be waxy if you touch it, but the point of this was that I would put it on and then I could buff it out a little bit. And it actually gives it a little bit more of like an antiqued brass, aged brass look, because the wax kind of settles more into the grooves and it's not totally on the touching part. But do you guys see some of the variation there? I hope it's clear. Now, obviously swapping hardware is one of the easiest things you can do in a rental. You just need to know what length of pulls to get, and they come in standard lengths, like 3, 5 inch, blah, blah, blah. But now we have to re-poke the holes, and you can do this in a few ways. I'm taking a large, giant, like tufting needle. I'm just gonna pop that in there. And to make sure those holes are wide enough, I'm gonna take the existing screw that I'm gonna use, and I'm actually gonna poke in from this side. You might even need to screw it in a little bit. Nope, there we go. That way it doesn't shred a ton when it's coming through that way. They're so cute. Wait, I noticed something. These are a little bit rocky, even though they seem to be all the way screwed in. So here's how you're gonna fix that. And this happens a lot when you're doing cabinet pulls. Sometimes the screws are kind of too long for the cabinet. It's just a little bit funky. The thing that's gonna save you is these little tiny baby little metal washers. Because what you can do is you can add them to the screw, and that means that if there's any tiny gap or something like that, that this will fill it and make it screw much tighter. And boom, now, yep, no more little loosey-goosey rocking. So shout out to washers. Okay guys, hardware is on, but we do have one last, moment of hell. And that is that we have gold hardware, but we still have these silver rusting hinges. And again, we're not taking them off, but I do want to be crazy and hit them with the littlest bit of this little gold luster wax. I'm gonna do this very carefully and very minimally, just so that we get a little bit of cohesion between this and that. And again, this is not perfect or precise, but I'm just trying to give a little bit of a hint. And when I move out, I can go right over it with silver wax in the same way if I need to bring out that silver more. And I know I'm crazy, but somebody's gotta be. Okay guys, it's been a journey. This was a bold, very experimental idea. So here, at long last, is your final reveal. What do you think? Good? She loves it. All right guys, thank you for checking this out. If you haven't watched my dining room makeover, I will link it below. You should definitely check that one out. And I have to be honest, we're still not done designing this kitchen dining area. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to come back to find out what more crazy additions I'm planning. If you're curious to see how this holds up, I am too. I will probably do an update video eventually, but I have high hopes, and in the meantime, at least I don't have to live in a beige, grayish world. See you next time.